what did I do?
They put you up at, you said Hilton?
Put me up at the Hilton, and the night that I got in there, I geeked out for a few. Took a picture of, there was a Whoopi Goldberg in Sister Act.
Oh, nice. Just the habit. And
yeah, she was in the habit. And, but wax figure in the lobby.
Oh,
and I took a picture with it, and everybody was like, oh my God, you went Whoopi? And I'm like, yeah. For like the first day. I was like, yeah, totally.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, Whoopi. But, and then I walked down to Hollywood Boulevard, checked out the Chinese theater, realized, like, when you go out to someplace like L.A., you think to yourself, like, holy crap, I'm going to see some of the most beautiful people on the planet. But it wasn't like that. It really wasn't. There was just a bunch of weird-looking chuds like me who were there checking out Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, when you're right in the heart of tourist.
Yeah.
But yeah,
very
like being
tourism.
right there, Hollywood Vine area is always like... That's all I saw the time I went too, except at night. I stayed at a Motel 6, Hotel 6, whichever one, the blue logo with the red 6. Just right off of Hollywood and Vine. And I remember going out at night to the liquor store right before
little closer to you.
Right before liquor time was closing. And I still had that South Dakota nice guy thing, but knowing I'm in a city, and my on edge was a little more active because I'm spending more and more time in Albuquerque. And I remember giving the first homeless person that asked me for $1. I gave him $1. 18 more behind me in just quick seconds. I'm like, nope, and move fast. and they saw that was happening, and I was already noping out of there. But yeah, that same cat saw me later, and he's like, can I have $1? Nah, man, nah. I figured out where I was real quick, but I do remember still thinking something about that. And when I walked from the liquor store at night, I saw one guy just settling in. He found a stoop to sleep in. I was like, here, man. And I gave him the change, just like $2.30, whatever I had left from getting a bottle of E&J for me and this girl. Yeah, man. All cities have this thing of their own, but LA, I think that's the only time I visited in my adult life was that one trip.
The thing that sucked was I found out when I got down there that Van Halen had played on Hollywood Boulevard like 3 nights before that.
Ooh.
And I was like, well, son of a bitch.
Right.
But I remember seeing the Star Trek thing in the sidewalk where it had all the original cast signed their names.
Oh, okay.
They all had their hands in there and shit, and that was really special to me. I love fucking Star Trek, dude. I love Star Trek. But yeah, my homeless experience there, I had 2 of them there. One in New York City, I took a homeless guy out to Taco Bell in the World Trade Center.
Okay.
Like a taco place in the World Trade Center. I want to say it was a Taco Bell.
Oh, okay.
It was 2000 when that happened. But he asked me for money, and I was like, I don't have money. I have traveler's checks. I'm going to go get something to eat, though. Are you hungry? He's like, yeah. And so he went with me, and I bought him lunch and shit.
Nice.
But when I was in LA and I was walking down on Hollywood Boulevard, I walked by, and there's a McDonald's on there, kind of by the theater a little bit, within that radius. And maybe a block down from McDonald's, I saw a woman sitting there with her daughter. And her daughter was no older than 10. And they're homeless. And they look homeless. And her mom looks twacked the fuck out.
Or whatever's life's doing to her, right?
And, yeah. And she was like sitting there kind of like cussing at her daughter and everything like that. And so I walked by him a couple times during my venture. And then finally she asked me, you spare any change, sir? I kind of did something bad, but I think it was for a good reason. Hopefully, maybe.
Okay.
But I took some change out of my pocket and I threw it down the sidewalk. And her mom went scurrying for the change, and I handed her a $5 bill.
Nice.
Her daughter, I handed her a $5 bill, and I said, "Don't show your mom this."
I don't care if it was right or wrong. I like that. That's a cool
I was
move.
just like, because this woman was so twacky, dude. And I knew that if she saw me give that girl any money, it was going to be hers.
Right.
And so, yeah, I just took the change, I tossed it down the sidewalk like I was just not giving a shit. So she scurries off
like that. That's the dickheaded side of it. But she showed her priority. She was ready to just go run and.
And I mean, I don't hope that the girl has time away from her mother enough to spend it.
Yeah, right.
You know,
that's it. Yeah, that's where my brain is still
but
like.
I do hope that she has some time away from her mom so she can spend it.
Right. Like she just gets her to that other maybe, family member who has a little bit more stable environment that she can relax in.
Maybe she's still holding on to that $5 bill, you know, like one of those things and shit. And it'll be in a made-for-TV fucking movie in 20 years.
You said that was in New York?
That was in L.A.
Oh, that was in
Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah, and then...
Oh, New York was the guy you bought food.
Yeah, the guy I bought food for. Yeah. And then I was walking across the street, and this obviously on really hard powders woman is walking towards me, and she's short, she's African-American, and it's like... She eyeballs me, dude. And I'm like the only one walking across the street at this time as well.
Sometimes making that eye contact, that's the first mistake.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, she just comes up and shoves me. In the middle of her rant, she just shoves me. She's not even like talking to me. She's just screaming at the world. And she just comes up and shoves me. And I'm like, hey! I just keep on stepping, you know? I just kept on walking. But she just came up and shoved me. And I'm like, oh, fuck you, man. But
man.
Yeah.
Another time I had kind of just forgot I was in the city for just a moment. I went to the cities. I was in Minneapolis. I stayed at Stefan Wamigo's place, and I was there for the 5-year anniversary Michael Idea Larson of his passing. Well, it was the show to celebrate his life, you know? And it was the 5th one. First time I had made it to one of them, but he's always been like, he's number one. He's my favorite MC, you know? The whole trip was really serendipitous, but the moment I left Homeboy's apartment and started walking to the theater, well, first half, as the venue I was at, I bring up the GPS and I'm checking my way there while I'm out on the walk. And I see, it's just straight down there. But I'm still just kind of looking to see if there's anything I might want to stop at on the way. I'm a little early, you know, and trying to figure out where I'm going to eat dinner. And then I hear this voice from a couple blocks away yelling, "Free phone! Free phone!" And I go, oh, yeah, that's where I'm at. I put it in my pocket. And luckily, like, I can see about where a larger group of guys that might be down and just go for some dirt are congregating. And it just so happens that I put my phone in my pocket, a bus obstructs the view, and I start just walking like I'm in the city again. Bus pulls out of the way, and where I was, I'm not. And so I don't know where they were looking by that point, but I was already on my way. It was an interesting walk down to First Ave after that, but it was just remind yourself, boom, oh, yep, you're in the city. Yeah. Be on your toes.
Yeah. See, when I went to New York, I went with like my class.
Oh, yeah.
From Jamestown, the choir class.
Right.
And I really didn't want to go. Because I was like, man, I'm going to be like sitting there with the choir people the whole time. Like, it's going to suck. My dad's like, you got to go.
Right.
So I went, and it was the exact opposite of everything I thought it was going to be. Like, all of a sudden, they just, like, pulled up into Times Square, opened the bus doors, and said, be back here in 3 hours.
Oh,
nice. I'm like 14, 15.
Ooh, yeah.
Just drop me the fuck off. Got $500 in traveler's checks and shit. Oh my God, I bought so much bullshit.
Okay.
But I start walking, and all of a sudden, I start realizing that a lot of people are looking at me, and none of them are white. Like, and this is my first time really leaving the Dakotas.
Okay.
You know, especially without my folks. And so I was like, all of a sudden, I get to, and I don't know if this is right, but I get to something that's like, you know, Frederick Douglass Boulevard and Malcolm X Lane or something, you know? I look up at the street side, and then I looked around and I was like, I should probably turn around. Like, and you want to know what? It's 80s movies. 80s movies was still like it showcased a lot more African American people being bad guys, as well as Asians. I was terrified of Asians because they were ninjas.
It's not race specific, it's block specific. People have a certain sense of ownership over the territory they live in, you know?
Right.
And that, I mean, you run into that everywhere.
And I was 14. What the fuck was I going to do? Hey, guys, you want my traveler's checks? Like,
oh, man.
What the fuck? But I mean, that was my first dip into, maybe I'm not in the right, like, this is not, I don't feel safe. And like, where in Aberdeen can you go where you don't feel safe? Where in Jamestown, North Dakota do you go?
I mean,
there's people's houses that you can go to.
You bring a certain kind into Aberdeen, and they're out drinking with the boys at a certain time when some other boys that just don't like the way they look get a little tipsy and into themselves. Like, it could spell trouble just for every place you go where you're an outsider to the place. You are suddenly the one. I mean, and it's just in the way people view you. If they view you as an outsider to the place, and that comes across in a lot more than just our skin color. It comes across the way we carry ourselves, the way we talk, the way... I mean, if you know a language, if you know another language, you're automatically starting to communicate with people that who could have this outsider status all of a sudden. I watch White as White Boy, Michael Wilson, Matty Effects? He lived in Aberdeen for a while. We planned a tour together at one point, and brother of mine had a major health scare. I decided to stay in the region, but Maddie and the rest of the folks left. It was a very punk rock tour, DIY. But Michael was fluent in Spanish, and he's got red hair and he's pasty. But I watched him go into Mazatlan in Aberdeen and start talking to folks, and suddenly, whole crew, we were all drinking like we're buddies with the bar. It's just, those are like little shortcuts across the boundaries that society or socially that we erect with each other,
I guess for me, though, like, even when I am the outsider, like when I walk into the zoo, I don't fit into the zoo.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't want to start fitting in at the zoo.
I don't fit in at the zoo, but it's like when I go in there, yes, people are looking at me, but nobody's looking at me.
Yeah, I mean, it is a college kid, but it's a meat market. Every town's got their meat market where people go hunting for one another, you know?
Very much so.
And the zoo is Aberdeen's meat market.
God, is there any... I mean, Loggers.
Loggers was Aberdeen's older meat market, and there's a lot of people hanging on to that dream. And you get different bars, get different crowds, and different pockets of the town. And
I think the zoo is like the Walmart, and Loggers is like Target. Like the
no.
People go in there for the same fucking shit.
Does that make Slackers like Saks Fifth Avenue or what?
Slackers.
or the Brass Kettle? Like
Slackers is exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's that independent hometown place that's not corporatized or corporate. I don't know.
I mean, wasn't Loggers that at one point?
See, when my dad went to Loggers,
the circus has that still.
The circus is more of a restaurant to me.
It's got the best wings in town. Like, dude, I mean, I will always put it down. Circus where I go for wings if I want good wings.
Go to the circus.
Ask for the secret.
No.
That's what
it's the pepper jack cheese bites. Cheese balls.
Yeah. I tried them.
And it's not like they give you 6 like Dairy Queen or something like that. No, they give you a basket with like 20 or 30 of them in there.
Midwest eating.
Fucking good. So fucking good, dude. But that's no, right. Like when my dad first went to Loggers, it was a hole in the wall fucking bar. Mm-hmm. It was just that, that front area. They didn't have that back extended edition onto it and everything like that. It was the original trilogy, and now it's gotten into the prequels.
See, I never had the experience of going to the bar with the folks. Every now and again, when I'd hang out with some of the kids that I met around here when I was at Northwestern or when I even in Aberdeen, that's when I saw that was a thing. But my folks just were never drinkers in my life,
I mean, I've never seen my father inebriated.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay.
Ever. like, if that ever happens, that'll be the day that the Vikings win the Super Bowl or some shit.
Right.
Like,
now, you're saying just he'll sip one? Or
yeah, he'll have a few.
But I've never
seen him like, you know what, Tony, fuck you, man. Like, I want to see my dad get
that's your impression of belligerent drunk?
I want to see my dad get belligerent drunk on my ass someday.
Oh, man, it's funerals. Funerals are the only time I've seen, like, the elder men in my family.
See, my dad had all the opportunity to go out drinking with me and my fucking, but no.
Well, that's the real hardest one, man. Like, ow, Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, Happy Mother's Day, Mama.
And R.I.P. to all those we miss.
Yep. Yeah, but my dad played in a lot of bands. Mm-hmm. So I went to a lot of their outdoor gigs. I went to the lumber company. Yeah. Do you know what the lumber company was?
I remember stories of the lumber company. My family's been around Aberdeen for a long time. My second oldest brother was born
I remember what it looked like from the outside, but I cannot remember for the life of me anything about the fucking
Me too.
But, but we used to go, I remember we went to this place called Ordway. It wasn't Ordway Prairie, but I think it was like the town of Ordway.
Yeah, I've heard its name too. I've never been there.
There was a creek running by where my dad was playing.
Okay.
And I was not allowed to use the rope swing like all the big kids were doing. I just remember sitting there feeling fucked. Like, you guys fucked me. Yep. You brought me all this way and I can't even do it. Like, what the hell? But, so I was around a lot of people that were drunk, but never my father. My mom started drinking later on in my life, and I had to go... I'm sorry, Mama. I had to go pick her up from the bar a few times when I was like... 13, 14, something like that. But
she had fun. She liked that fun.
She did have fun.
She liked that fun.
Her and my dad split up. They needed to split up. And when they split up, my sister and I were at the age where she could look at us and say, don't burn the fucking house down. I'll be back.
Yep.
But, so yeah, I was around I've seen my mom pretty trash.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. We were at Aberdeen Central at the same time briefly, right?
I never went to Central.
You never went there?
I went to Holgate.
Oh, it was Holgate. Okay.
Holgate.
Okay, we were at Holgate briefly. Okay.
Thank God I never went to Central.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought you were in geometry with me. You would have been the next year. I was only at Holgate half of ninth grade.
Wow, so I would have been like, what year did you graduate? Or
02.
Yeah, so yeah, I would have been in 8th grade then.
Okay.
My 9th grade year, I left Aberdeen. So.
Okay. Yeah, somehow managed to do the graduate thing on time, but ALC by the end is.
I'm sorry to say it, but like with all the people that I know and stuff like that and all their past, sometimes I have to catch myself and be like, oh, what year would you graduate?
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately, I have a lot of friends that never did, but but I did. Yep. I got to the point where it was like, God, I've been in this so long. Like, I had a couple friends that broke out in like 12th grade. They were like, no, I'm out. I'm dropping out. I'm like, dude.
Right, you're right. There, you're at the finish line. You're going to just quit.
They're like, dude, I have to take summer school. Then take fucking summer school. If you have to be a super senior, be a fucking super senior. Get this shit done, dude.
Yeah.
Ugh. And then I never did anything else after high school.
Man, yeah, no. I went and did the BFA. That thing was... The school I found it felt too meant for me in some ways. Bachelor of Fine Arts in Creative Writing from the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a very, well, as college should be, expansive experience. Portion of my life that super thankful for. And it's where I was always enamored with music, but it's where I went from liking all kinds of pop, childish kind of stuff, to I like hip-hop a lot. I'm going to delve into that deeper, With rock, I was trying to do it from that really angsty teenage place, steeped in Rage Against the Machine, But the guy I was talking about earlier before we started, Parrish, he was a Four Elements guy. That means he did DJing, he spit rhymes bilingually. Sometimes he could get him to spit in French too, but he spoke Spanish and English. And he did breakdancing. He was a bigger boy too, so it was fun to watch him move. and one of the best graffiti artists I've ever seen.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he just grinds it out. He works real hard, and he showed me the respect for the culture hip hop as a culture and those 4 elements and how they were just really foundational, part of the core of what hip hop is. And sometimes I feel like after I left school, after I left down there and came back up here, like I just hip hop diplomat cast out into the barren wastes of just small town middle of nowhere, South Dakota, you know?
I think that if you could travel back in time to like 1994 and go out to like Seattle coffee shops, you would pull so much early 90s ass, dude. Like, you have no idea.
No, me as I am now, going back.
Back to 94,
man, I
you
would be
pull so much 94
dude.
ass. Man.
It would be insane. It would be apocalyptic. Don't send me back in time. Not that. No. Oh.
By the way,
I've been told Seattle would fit me like it would be old hat for me.
Yeah. I would, dude. Seattle, it rains a lot, and I like the rain.
Me too. I got to visit once finally, it was in over my birthday. I stayed there for a month, from halfway through October.
Visit.
Yeah, from halfway through October to halfway through November in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah. My folks sent me out there for my birthday. It was gonna be a 2-week trip. Train company let me extend it, no problem. Yeah. I mean, I could have fought for a lot more with how bad our delays were.
Me going to fucking Hollywood for a day and some change, that is visiting.
Yeah, I get you.
You fucking lived there for a month.
For a month, and I would have started working there if I had brought like another form of ID. I had a good passport. It was in Aberdeen, you know. Yeah, I would have started working there, but I wanted to come back. One person I was talking to, Allie Beekler, I was talking to her pretty much every day when I was over there. Like we were in the flirtatious at that point. The flirtatious, like it's a period, an epoch, the crustaceous.
By the way, so we're rolling.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That should be how it goes, right? Where we get loose and just have a conversation.
Right. This is Dakota Podcasting Experience, and I have Ish the Stomach with me.
We didn't do that. How's it going, peoples?
Yeah, we didn't do that at all. We just started talking, and then we kept getting interrupted and having to return to talking.
Right.
It just kind of slipped my mind. But yeah, thank you for watching. We're gonna continue. Actually, right now would be a good time. I'm gonna just pause for a second. And we're going to go to a quick little, like, 15 or 30-second thing from the guys from the Sioux Empire Podcast, Robert Mailing. They have Sioux Empire Podcast is on Facebook and Twitter and all sorts of stuff. And check them out. They have something coming out in September called The Edge Case, which is like a Twilight Zone-y podcast. And I'm excited for it. So I'm going to plug them really quick, and me and Ish will be right back. This episode of the Dakota Podcasting Experience is brought to you by our friends at the Sioux Empire Podcast down in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Check them out on YouTube as well as the SiouxEmpire.com. They're also on Facebook. And also check out their new podcast coming out in September called the Edge Case Podcast. I'm really looking forward to it. So enjoy this short clip and then we'll get to the show.
At the fringes of perception, beyond the boundaries of your mind, just past the glow of the firelight, out of the corner of your eyes, you will find an edge case. Edge Case Podcast coming September 10th. Learn more at edgecasepod.com.
Welcome back. It's Tony Tubes here with Ish the Stomach. He's here.
Stomach.
And Ish, dude, I want to put this out there right away in that you are a god amongst Silver Screen Showdown people. You are my god in Silver Screen Showdown. And nobody watched the finale. Spoiler alert, I'm in the finale. I'm playing my own fucking game in the finale, and it was awesome. Like 30 people watched it. But
I should watch it again.
The next one, the next finale that I have, I want to be against you. Yes. I'd like it to be against you and
Season 1 champion.
And Season 1 champion would probably have to have been Brandon Lunsman. Might be able to get him back. That'd be cool.
I'm down. Are you down, Brandon?
Or my dad.
Ooh.
My dad's very knowledgeable.
Man, I almost don't want to say... Okay. I am going to... Thank you, window. I am going to say it, though. Ooh, bad strategy. Doing it anyway. I felt a little like... As soon as I saw what the new last game was, I felt like, oh, no. I am going to... That's just like how my brain puts information together is just played into the last game you chose.
What do you mean the last game?
What was it? Matching the names.
Oh, just
just knowing names of either characters or the actors with one of them. It was the characters with Dr. Jones for sure.
Oh yeah, some of them were different. Some of them were like named just the movie, like stoner movies and shit.
Yeah. And well, the 80s was the only one that just I didn't know more of those movies than I went a different direction. I was like looking up a lot more John Hughes flicks and stuff like that.
Well, he was there was a John Hughes category and shit, but dude, that game, like if I actually could take that game somewhere, I would have writers behind me doing different stuff because all that shit is just off my head.
Right.
Like there was a couple of Marvel movies that I hadn't even fucking seen yet. And I had to do a whole Marvel episode. So I was doing that's why the Black Panther questions were super fucking easy. Cause I didn't know anything else.
Right.
Like I didn't know any of the logistics of it and shit. So yeah, all that shit, like I told the Scared of the Dark guys or whatever, it's all up here. Right. If you just look at my shelf, that's where all the questions are coming from pretty much.
I wish you would hit me up with Short Circuit 1 and 2, man. I would.
I don't
whole
care.
episode.
I don't care about those movies enough to say I would like them back, but if I didn't get them back, I wouldn't be like completely butthurt. So you can totally borrow them, and even if like me and you do not hook up anytime soon, just give them to Sarah.
Word.
She'll get them to me.
She could be a good little movie DVD depot for us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and as long as they don't come back like they were up somebody's ass.
Oh no, yeah. I like to respect the things I have.
Exactly. So
thank you.
Some of my DVDs look like they've.
I will have it probably tomorrow.
Some of my DVDs look like they've been up somebody's ass, but it's like, hey, you take that. I have kids, and sometimes they like move. Dude, one of our kids a long time ago, we lived in a place that had cement walls on certain parts, and he took the movie Up, the DVD, and he's like, I'm gonna clean it on the fucking wall. And it was a library disc too, and we were like, oh, we'll replace it for like, no, it'll be $35.
Right.
I'm like, what? Come on.
I'm surprised you didn't say like 80.
Yeah, right. Oh my god.
I think a Blockbuster or something would have charged you upwards of like 80 or more.
Jesus. That's where I got my Onion movie when that Blockbuster was closing down in Aberdeen. I called him and I was like, do you guys have the Onion movie? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, do you guys have any copies that I could buy? And he was like, dude, nobody rents this movie. Come in and buy it. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, that's awesome. And it was near their closing time?
Yeah.
Cool.
The Onion movie.
Hell yeah, that's a deep cut right there. That's a deep cut.
Check out the Onion movie if you've never seen the Onion movie. It's hilarious. One of the only Steven Seagal movies that I will watch.
I know people have tried to make me watch it, but I think I've blocked it out or something.
Steven Seagal plays Cock Puncher.
Wow.
Cock puncher. I don't think you have the balls.
My grandma's favorite action star. She had a crush on Steven Seagal.
Dude, Steven Seagal fucking married Kelly LeBrock from Weird Science. And then he broke her neck and she couldn't act anymore. No, I'm just...
How many fucking action stars are just wife beaters? I've heard it about Van Damme. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah, I've heard Van Damme is just a shit in real life, dude.
Something happened to ego and it gets that big or some shit.
Well, Arnold cheated on his old lady, but Arnold's a stand-up guy.
Yeah, right.
Like, that Arnold, I mean, when he was governor, he might have been Republican, but my God, he did so much for the environment.
Do you think he was thinking politics back when he did it, like he was the main sponsor behind that presidential fitness challenge thing?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Yeah. The thought only just occurred to me that maybe he had the political game in mind already.
See, I think that if he would have been an American citizen, first of all, he wouldn't have been Arnold.
Right.
Because it's like, how do you have Arnold Schwarzenegger with an American accent? Like,
right.
It doesn't work. But, like, if he was an American citizen and he just happened to talk like that, but everything worked out the exact same way, I think that he would have been, like, the good Donald Trump. You know, like he would have been that celebrity, that massive celebrity that got in there, and everybody was like, holy shit, they got in there. And then he actually did a lot of good, because that's what Arnold did when he was governor. He did a lot of good shit. He did some weird shit, but he did a lot of good stuff.
I heard comedian Spencer Dobson, he came over for a jam session recently, and he drew a parallel between a Bizarro Superman and Trump being Bizarro Kennedy. You think about the like celebrity status and cult of personality behind the both of them. Like, there's something to that, you know? The
Bizarro John F. Kennedy.
Right. I mean, John my brain Kennedy just always just called him, he's the Biff Tannen snake oil salesman that like New York knew better. New York has grown up with that guy.
Are you talking about snake oil salesman like old timey like?
He's a con artist. Donald Trump is a con artist. He always has.
It just makes me think of A Million Ways to Die in the West. What is this? What's in this tonic? Bits of shirt? What is that? He's like, science. But yeah, dude. Yeah, Donald Trump is I mean, what I think is just hilarious is he's just so obviously every fact points to this guy being a complete shitbag of a human being. I cannot say that he's a moron.
No, he's smart. There's something up there, but I think he's going King Lear. I think he's in the midst of going towards Alzheimer's, dementia, and I think a lot of it has to do with him having to play the political game and having to, because he knows he's lying, and he repeats the lies so often that he deludes himself into believing
he's a sociopath.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. But okay, riddle me this. I'm going to put this out. This happened yesterday, maybe 2 days ago. I have an acquaintance on the Facebook, and she has publicly put me down for my Donald Trump thoughts. Okay? It's not the first time that it's happened. It's not going to be the last time that it's happened. But then, like yesterday, the day before, she posts a Facebook post that says, OMG, I can't believe that my friend and I are on our way to meet Stephen King.
Stephen King
Stephen King is like the number one hater of Donald Trump besides Robert fucking De Niro. Like, like for real, dude. Those two.
Eminem.
Yeah.
He drew. Yeah.
I mean, I was just kind of baffled, like, and then I asked her the question, and I did it very, very like professionally. I wasn't rude to her. I was just like, how are you gonna put me down for this? But then you're going to go and meet the one guy that hates him more than anybody else. And she's like, well, I don't judge people on what they, who their political party. Then why are we putting me down?
Yeah. The cognitive dissonance runs strong, bro. Like, I mean, there's no other explanation for how, well, there's the anger. There's the start is with the anger. There's according to Andrew Yang, I don't know if you've been following his campaign. He's making a bid for 2020.
He wants to give me like $1,000 a month just for being me.
Yeah. I mean, he's a numbers guy, and by the numbers, he's made it make enough sense for me to be like, I see where you're going. Shoot, I forget the point that I was gonna borrow from him though. Oh, there's a direct correlation between places where you see automation taking over communities and Donald Trump support. There's like a straight line up between those hit hardest by the economics of the shifts that are happening right now and those who support Donald Trump. And they have been sold on the snake oil salesman's bullshit. That's precisely what it is. In my view,
it's just, it hurts my brain to even think that many people still look at this like, and these are people that like hated the bullies in school.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's guy,
what Donald Trump is.
This guy would have hated you in school.
Mm-hmm. He would have bullied you. He would have taken your lunch money.
Exactly. It baffles me, man. Mm-hmm. And he obviously thinks that he is, he's obviously out for the rich man.
Mm-hmm.
So why are these poor people following him?
They've been sold the line of bullshit.
Oh my God, man.
They bought it hook, line, and sinker. He's a good con artist.
Yeah.
He has a bit of a talent for it. If you don't see his bullshit coming, he has a bit of a talent for it.
Absolutely. I mean, in 2020, man, I really hope that it's not Biden. Like, Biden's not a bad guy, but...
That'd just be the signal that, hey, we're going straight back to politics as usual.
Exactly. You know, and there's so many of them out there. Are so many of these candidates out there that want to affect awesomely different change.
Yes.
And Biden's just, let's go back to Clinton.
And I think it's important that a large shift happens all at once in this political landscape, because this little gradual thing, what it's done is warp or straight up dismiss the people, the radicals that have come in before. Radical, I say, the people who want to make systemic changes that will benefit all citizens of these states. The system ends up twisting their work, and lobbyists, money in politics to a disgusting degree that I don't believe our founding fathers would have ever stood for.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean,
yeah, the politics thing, it ruffles me to my core.
I just hope that somebody gets in there that wants to legalize pot, and they want to make it easier for the little guy to live.
Yeah.
And, you know, really think about the little guy, and think about the teachers in our schools, and the people looking after the elderly and the developmentally disabled and our fucking indigenous people that were here before fucking us.
Our vets. You know, take care of all those people before worrying about all the other people that are coming into the country so fucking hard. But I have a solution to the border wall crisis. Would you like to hear my solution? I would like to hear your solution.
All right, picture this. We build a border wall, that whole entire fucking way that they want to do it, right? It'll cost us a fraction of what they want. I mean, I'm saying maybe, I'm going to say $3 million. $3 million.
You're talking about sheetrock and 2x4s?
No. That goes for supplies and labor. All through that thing. If there's a fucking river there or an ocean there, of course you're not going to build it there and shit. But here's what we do. It's all volleyball nets. Okay? And we have all these fucking people that are out there going, I don't want them goddamn Mexicans in the United States of my America. I want all those people to bulk up and go down there, and they have to play the Mexicans that want to come into the country. And if the Mexicans win, they get to come into the fucking country.
Volleyball, huh?
And the thing is if they want to bring in 300 pounds of fucking cocaine, they got to play that shit with that shit strapped to their back. And then if they fucking win, then they can be like, hey man, you really did this. You know, like you
well,
really
I mean, if
worked, you know.
Well playing the game, I may be with that much.
I mean, it's like, yeah, come on over, dude. Drop it off in San Antonio and come back and play for our side. You know, whatever. But
oh man, it's the our side thing that messes me up. I mean, the people, the moneyed and powerful people of this world, they don't give two shits about our borders.
Right.
Not a single international border means a thing to them. They look at large regional areas. I mean, you think of IMF, World Bank, the riots that were in Seattle. Did they call that the battle in Seattle?
Something like that.
Yeah. We already, as a society, know that, yes, they are moving to a more global economy and way of life. The internet has shrunk the world so much that I can send my thoughts encoded through language first and then through digital transmission to Japan at relatively light speed. I might be using the word relatively a little loosey-goosey there. But, and then those thoughts can be read by somebody else on the other side of the world, translated for me if they don't know my language. Like, that's some magic shit. Is it Isaac Asimov or Arthur C. Clarke who said any sufficiently advanced technology should be indistinguishable from magic? Like, we are living in an age that the systems of economy and governance that we live under today could not possibly have accounted for.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to put my fucking thoughts together, man. Well, dude, and like, I just think it's weird that You know, I can take my phone right now, and I could type in a combination of probably 300 characters. Hit a send button, and I can have the federal BI at my door within about 20 minutes, I bet.
Or a pizza.
You know, like there's so much going on. Like, I just think it's trippy that if I took out my phone and a certain combination of like 23 numbers, I could be talking to Kim Jong-un. Like
23 with international code?
I don't know. Yeah. I just threw a fucking number. 42. You know, like I just threw a number out there.
I mean, shit, 7 gets you around the United States. Well, 7 gets you around your state. 10 for the U.S.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know, man. I just think that it's really strange that, like you said, it just shrunk the world so much. But I don't know, man. Let's change the subject off politics.
Yeah.
Though. I don't want to fucking
talk
about
one,
that
greasy
one we didn't
fucking.
Even
think we were gonna.
That greasy orange fuck.
Cheeto.
So what were we talking about?
We
during the break
we on break we hit the racism a little bit, and we don't want to go into it, but I do got to say, for racism in South Dakota, I've done most of the stories on my blog, but this one I haven't done. I remember playing basketball in Millette, South Dakota in about 5th grade. Backyard, dirt that we're dribbling on, and the jokes are flying from these kids. And I remember saying, I don't think I would hear more racial slurs if I went to a Klan meeting. Everybody laughed, and I realized, hey, that's where I am. That's where I am.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you said you wanted to throw it to... I had no idea you would go to the out-of-body experiences.
No, it wasn't out-of-body experience. Okay, I'll just tell you what happened.
Okay.
So, back in 1/11, January 1st, 2001, I got in a skiing accident. And during the skiing accident, I'm not going to go into it, but I was really fucked up. And I woke up underneath of a tree, and I didn't know if I was going to live because my lung was collapsed, all sorts of shit. Well, like less than a year later, I remember I was taking a shower, and I had like my fucking knee taped up with a garbage bag because I couldn't get it wet and all that shit. But I remember standing in the shower, and I all of a sudden, the whole experience flashed back to me. I hadn't remembered any of it. Then all of a sudden, it just all flashed back to me in the shower one day, and it really fucked me up. And like my dad came in and like, you know, because I like fell back and shit, you know, like it was fucked up. But that was it.
Yeah.
But then a few days ago, I was watching. There's a song called "Hard Sun" by Eddie Vedder, and it's from the soundtrack to the movie Into the Wild, about Christopher McCandless, the guy that went up to Alaska and died.
Yeah, I remember hearing of the movie. He died. Okay.
Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, he went up there and he wanted to spend 100 days living by himself in the Alaskan wilderness, and he found this bus, and he lived there for 116 days. But when he hit 100, he was too weak to walk out, so he stayed there and died. So they made a movie, and Sean Penn was the director and everything like that, and the writer, and I think it won some fucking awards. But they made this video for it, and if you go on YouTube and you look it up, Eddie Vedder, Hard Sun, and the still frame on YouTube is like birds flying in the sunset or something, and it has shots of this from this movie of him laying in the bus looking up at the sun through the trees and the clouds and shit, and all of a sudden, I got another piece. Like, I was watching this, and all of a sudden, it just like, and I got another piece of me laying there doing the same thing, waiting to die, looking at the sun through the trees and the clouds and shit. It was really fucked up, man. It was just a few days ago, too. Like, I haven't got a piece of that since 2001, man. Then all of a sudden, this video, like, triggered something, and it was fucking weird. So then I started thinking to myself, because have you ever had a life-threatening experience like where you could
at least 2 at my own hands? I'm willing to go into it, but
okay.
I mean, as you were going on, there are quite a few thoughts that hit me right away. One of the very first ones when you mentioned being in the shower and it coming back years later, that reminded me of once a friend who shall remain nameless told me about LSD, he's never had a flashback since he realized he could induce one through meditation. Neurology is a funny thing, and the way we can play with it, the amount of control we have through meditation and discipline is a really interesting thing that hasn't been measured well enough for us that I know of to know what we can say for certain about it, aside from strange things definitely happen, and the way we perceive the world is there is one saying a friend reminded me of recently, that reality is the most widely agreed upon fiction. And that just goes back to the idea that objective reality, whatever it is, none of us actually have access to it because we're limited by the filters of our perception.
Right.
But yeah, the bringing it back, that immediately I thought of the friend who mentioned being able to induce his own. And there is one feeling that I know is like this sign where like, ooh, I'm near one of those funny points in reality. When I start feeling like I'll be sitting in a chair like this, but I'll feel like that's the floor, the wall behind me, and I'm looking up at whatever the room I'm in is. When I start feeling that disconnect from sense of space, I know, ooh, I'm in somewhere funny for my brain. My perception is going to get playful now, you know?
Right.
And I've had it in times that were completely sober, well fed, well watered, well
slept.
Yeah, well rested. And I've had it in times in the opposite of all of those. I think a lot of times we can equate it to religious epiphany, or people have historically. But we've gone the other way too. Like one of the first or earliest documentations of what they thought was they write off to mass hysteria, and this village was basically purged in, I'm thinking feudal-ish Europe, was ergot poisoning. And that is a fungus that grows in wheat, and it produces LSA, one of the precursors to LSD.
Is there a B in the C?
I would hope. No.
I got LSA through F.
Oh, man. And, well, that's one of the things. Okay, so to bring it back to some of those endangered experiences, a girl that was around when I was playing with, let's call them novel dissociatives, just a class of drugs that are related to, like ketamine. She just wrote off everything. As soon as I started talking about any of these substances, she would just say, "Oh, alphabet soup. You guys are having alphabet soup." And it just goes to show the ignorant attitude that a lot of people have towards substances. And even, I mean, she's a user, you know? And I think it's highly important to be very educated if you're going to mess with anything that dangerous, because it's obviously dangerous.
Right.
I think the prohibition that we've had in this country gets in the way of properly educating people. I think the prohibition in this country gets in the way of people seeking treatment when they're going too far. I think the prohibition in this country is essentially the longest running extortion racket probably in world history.
Absolutely.
I think we've never had a war on drugs. We've only had a war over who makes money from drugs.
Right.
Yeah, so that's just some of that background of where I stand. But
do you think that prohibition, that takes away from, how do I put this? The experiences. You know, like, because there's a lot of paranoia.
I think it adds bad things to the experience.
There's a lot of paranoia when it comes to some of it.
It can take away if you let it.
Right.
It can add negativity if you let it.
Right.
But anytime you're exploring your consciousness at that level, you're taking certain risks, first and foremost. And you need to be keenly aware of where your fear points are, how to make your setting the most comfortable it can be. Yeah. if you don't do those things, it promotes the dangerous side. It promotes the dangerous thoughts. And I've heard of people getting caught in loops. And this is from like just dissociating. And it wasn't even really the meth that caused it. It was the meth without sleeping. I've seen people on meth for a long time and they'd get regular sleep cycles. They just force themselves to. It's weird watching a community in the midst of that epidemic. It is a very strange thing.
Yeah. So back to near death.
Near death. My most recent, I attempted suicide February 25th of 2016. It was my last, and it is the last I will attempt. I know that now. I was out at Riverside Cemetery, Allison Beekler's grave, and I had 3-MeO-PCP, 3-methoxyphencyclidine. They say the addition of the methoxy ring is intended to subdue or mitigate the fabled aggression of PCP, angel dust. I find names and language a very funny thing, especially when you start talking about these clandestine parts of our world where you have to use a bit of a secret code.
Right.
Well, this is a very powerful substance, dosed in microgram measurements. I was doing milligram snorts. Tolerance built and dropped very quickly with this substance, making it extra dangerous if you're not being careful. And I was at the point where I would cruise for 4 to 6 hours on about a quarter of this little spoon I had with me. About a quarter of it full, not heaping. One of those in each nostril twice. That would keep me cruising for a good 4 hours. And I went out to the cemetery and I did 12 heaping full scoops of this thing.
Christ, dude.
And I chased it down with a 40 and I had...
I'm sorry to laugh. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Sorry.
Like, yeah, I was out for going to sleep.
I think I would have been dead within the first thing.
It's an anesthetic, really. So it disrupts communication along your neural pathways. That's the goal of all the disassociatives, really.
Right.
Hit that K-hole. Go deep. Feel like you're... I won't even glorify it as much as I was about to. They're dangerous things. I think anybody who hears my music and my stories and delves into all of it, if they think I'm glorifying drugs, they miss the whole point. I think I'm neither glorifying nor vilifying them. I'm just saying that we as a society have not had the proper respect, care, or viewpoint on what they mean to us as a species.
Right.
So back to my experience in doing this. I also had a tablet of 2,5-I, which is a psychedelic that should have a shorter lifespan than LSD. And yeah, I've already went through my charging, criminal, everything with this incident, so I'm fine to talk about it. No worries. I'm getting through this story slowly because it's emotionally intense for me.
It's been a long day.
Understood. Well, yeah. Actually, that day it was the second time I called one of the bosses at the Brass Kettle. First time I got a hold of the one who hired me, and I was shaking and in tears, and I told him I'm gonna check myself in a 2 North. This time, he even gave me the perfect advice. He said, I feel lost. And he said, take a nap. I should have taken that advice. Smoke some of the weed I had and just take a nap. But I had already had my mind made up. So drove out to Riverside, took those gigantic scoops. And essentially I was being my own anesthesiologist and then just falling asleep with the lever all the way on, keep the gas going. Is essentially what I did. Anesthesiology is really the science of bringing someone to the brink of death and then bringing them back. So, how I hear it from other people was that the groundskeeper saw me, called the ambulance first. The ambulance was just getting ready to load me up when police came and saw it. The tab of whatever was still on my tongue, and I think they were making sure that they could have a sample and know what it was. For labs or whatever. They must have arrived really close to each other in time. I was out. I have a chapter about it in the book that I'm writing. I'll give you the cliff notes. There was just nothingness. Think Jon Snow's response when they asked him what it was like after he came back. Nothing. That was the escapism I was looking for. Just nothing. And the first sensation was this lifting up. In retrospect, that's probably the gurney. About to load into the ambulance. The next thing that felt like clear as a memory, just picture in my head, I was like, my nose was up against a curtain. I remember the colors of the curtain, the pattern. It probably was, it wasn't the pattern I thought it was at first. I thought it had these wavy designs. The color scheme was what I had right. And then the next thing that I can be relatively certain of is it was probably hours or minutes or days later. That's my perception was that off. Was realizing that I'm shackled in the emergency room and got IVs on, and I started trying to chew through this IV. Because I was going to blow into it to try to put air into my fucking arm. Yeah, I was still like just dead set on no. Why did I come back? I didn't want to come back. At first I thought I was abducted and I was in an alien or afterlife waiting room or some shit. But as it became more clear and I realized, oh, Avera St. Luke's, this piece of hell again. Because not my first ICU visit.
Right.
I ended up in ICU after that, and then to North, and then sent to Yankton. Where, I mean, I thought I was just intellectualizing enough to tell them the things they wanted to hear and get out as quick as I could, but I also wasn't lying about those things for the most part, except maybe my intention to use substances again, but not right away. At this point in my life with substances, I think I can't give the substance itself so much power is to, I know what choices I'm making. And I know that some of these things rob me of my ability to continue to choose for myself.
Right.
But I won't blame the substance for the fact that I let myself get in, and I've found my way out before. I feel like I can. When I quit smoking cigarettes the last time for 6 months, I started thinking like, I think I can always find my way out again if I'm dumb enough to start again. You know what I mean? But I do recognize that it's always a risk. It's a gamble every time. Not necessarily that you're doing too much and that's going to or be the hot shot that kills somebody, which happens, but that I might let myself get so enamored with this chemical that I prioritize it over myself and the people I love.
Well, that's why I don't do
harder
anything like that. Any pills or powders or anything like that, nothing.
Right.
Because I know I'd probably fucking love them. You know,
I said that about crack when I decided, no, I'm not gonna smoke crack.
I've never smoked meth. Don't need to. Like, cause I know I probably fucking love it. Of course you're gonna love it. It's meth.
For me, the line that, and I did cross it a couple times, but came back and realized now the seduction that I know better than too is that needle. I see a lot of people just get in the needle and it's more the needle
the
than
act
the
of
thing.
it.
Yeah.
See, that's why, some people are, when it comes to pot smoking, a lot of people are dabbing.
Yeah.
They're doing the dabs and stuff.
Dabs are fun, but your tolerance gets so too high too quick.
But I just think, and then there's people that are dabbing, and then there's people, yeah, right? There you go.
Was that just a way to make a new slang thing PG?
I don't know. But then there's people that, they're still no, I just want a bowl of fucking weed.
Yeah. I remember looking for swag when all of a sudden all you could find was kind nuggets.
Oh, dude. 2007 was the last time that I heard of any swag being around out there.
Right.
You just didn't hear about it after that.
Right.
That's a long fucking time ago, dude. That was the last time that I even saw swag was the week that I met my wife.
Remember how back then we would never openly on camera talk about such things. I mean,
I think it's ridiculous that we can't. We
as a society are growing up, and the government is not. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep bringing it back to that political take on that thing, but like, it's just true.
Yeah.
And we literally use the prison system to enslave people. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. And they figured out, hey, we don't have to enslave just one race. We can enslave all the undesirables. Everybody poor enough to want to bond with a substance because life is just shitting on them. Yeah.
They don't want to spend the money to treat them, but they want to spend the money to fucking house them. Doesn't make any fucking sense. But going back to what we were talking about, the reason why I brought up the near-death experience was I started thinking, that was really weird that I had a flashback of it.
Mm-hmm. I want to interject one other thing. I had one of the classic ones earlier where I got to see outside my body. I just saw the body. I saw myself loaded into the ambulance. That was actually the first time. I was like 16, 17. Yeah, Cliff Notes version of that one, but sorry to interrupt.
So you did the whole Nikki Sixx thing where you
like I basically I remember that feeling of being lifted, gurney. That's a memory I had. That I think there wasn't a visual associated with that memory either, but like it's a pretty staunch thing twice in my life that I know I wasn't conscious, wasn't there for, but I still felt that. And like it's the next thing that was kind of clear, and maybe it's just because I had such a clear picture of my house that's already born into my brain, that I saw it from a little ways above, and I felt like it was kind of fish eye eat or something like that. It was distorted, and I remember clearly seeing the top and back of the ambulance, my doorway, and like just this walk between it's like a blur. It's like a snake was just in me and the two shout outs to first aid folk. What is the paramedics? EMTs. Yes. I scared the crap out of my mom on that one. I had superficial scratch marks all up and down my forearm, had OD'd on every pill I could find in the medicine cabinet, had some booze, was naked, it was winter, had a bump on my head, front door open, was trying to walk outside, seizing.
So do you believe in fate?
Something like it. I don't believe in coincidence.
You don't believe in coincidence. So after this flashback that I had the other day, I started, and I'm going to put this out there right now, no offense to anybody or anything, but I don't want to kill myself. Never wanted to kill myself. I would just like things to get better, when they're bad.
No, I'm glad for you that you can say that.
Yeah, but the things that came into my head after that, and I'm just wondering if you ever thought that maybe you cheated something like fate. Like, I feel like for the longest time I thought, well, I survived for a reason. I could have died there, but I survived for a reason. So there's something out there that needs to happen.
I might have had that sort of thought at different points. I think I got this really big little kick of validation out of existence. This story that I told it on Facebook. I reshared it to my blog on Patreon, patreon.com/ishthestomach, where I keep the blog free. It's always free. Donate if you want to. It's probably easier to donate on Bandcamp. ishthestomach.bandcamp.com. Yeah. The story is about how I made a song out of a song from a new Strange Famous artist. Strange Famous is out of Providence, Rhode Island, Sage Francis record label. Love the deep underground hip hop. Shout outs.
I don't know any of these people that you ever talk about. Like, you're always talking about, you haven't heard of MC, fucking Squish Nug, man.
Different worlds, man. We're in the science of bringing different worlds together. That's what music and sharing and cultural sharing is.
I wish
about.
I could just download it like the Matrix.
Oh my god! Right? But then would you really have that? Maybe the life we're living now is the experience of downloading whole universe into consciousness.
True that.
That's probably where I would have landed with everything. No, no, chain of thought's gone.
Well, I thought that instead of thinking, hey, it was fate that you lived, and you're here now, and
I remember my story.
This is what you're supposed to be here for something. But then after this flashback came, I started getting this thought that was like, maybe I cheated.
Right.
Like, maybe I was supposed to die. And maybe I cheated fate. And that's why, and I'm not trying to get down on myself here, but maybe that's why I've been so mediocre.
I don't think there is a supposed to. I think there is reactions to what happens, to what we do.
Right.
There isn't an ought to have happened in the universe. There is only what it is, it is. The story I was going to tell, I'll try to put it in the matchstick version, like a pitch. I made a song out of Ghost by Orpheus and different clips from YouTube that I was just bouncing through. And the last clip I landed on was about Hopi prophecy. That'd be the matchstick version. Let me continue just a little bit. The video that I found did not give credit to the speaker, did not say anything about the event, but I recognized a lot of what he was saying as Baha'i teachings, which is the religion I was raised in. And then he mentioned the name Kevin, who is a spiritual leader around here. Kevin Locke is who I thought to myself, could he be talking about Kevin Locke? And then he actually specifically mentioned the word Baha'i faith, and I said, he's definitely talking about Kevin Locke. Because Kevin Locke is a Lakota hoop dancer, and he has recognized that there's so much overlap in the teachings of these two philosophies from different parts of the world, that he really has awoken a lot of people to the magic thing, the unspeakable.
You were talking about money there for a second.
No. See, the thing that you can't really speak about, but is there, that truth that we are all connected is a major aspect of it. And I think ultimately it always comes back to we are all connected. But Kevin, the day after I make this track and tell my mom I uploaded it to SoundCloud, and I'm really happy about it. It's really cool. Kevin stops in, and he's chatting with my mom and dad when I wake up in the morning, and I go up and I'm just pouring myself a cup of coffee, and I'm hearing a voice, and when I recognize the voice, I peek my head around the corner and say, "Hello, Kevin." He says, remember me?" And then mom suggests that most of the conversation is moving at a really blistering pace. I remember that. But mom suggests that I tell him about this footage, ask him about it. And as soon as I start describing it to him, it looks to my eyes like it might be late 70s, early 80s footage. And he's outlining Hopi prophecy, Kevin. "Oh, that's Lee Brown. That was Fairbanks, Alaska, 85. Just...
Right.
Yeah, the fact that he stopped in, the fact that his mind is still that sharp. He's just... it's very, very inspirational.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, there's no ought. And that's a very good... I hadn't thought about it like that. Because, I mean, right now I could get up and I could walk out of this room. I could walk out of this house. I could fucking go somewhere and I could, leave everything. Just go do everything. Go do this. Go do that. I could go and find a different family to raise. Mm-hmm. I could go and run for office. I could go and kill a cop and then my life would be over. I could go on any of these extremes, but I just stay right here. And it's just, we've talked about the mediocrity of artists and everything like that.
I mean, you're still in the midst of the most important work that you can do. When you have offspring, the most important work you can do is make sure they become good people.
And that was one of the things that I thought to myself after I said that to myself. And it was like, well, no, because, I mean, God knows what these guys are going to do. I could have, the next this person or that person or, the next president or the next, I could have the next serial killer. I don't know. I don't want that.
It's a funny thing that we've departed so far from, like, the mentality that used to rule most of, and we still have it in this saying in our lexicon, it takes a village to raise a child. And the whole dynamic of family worked a lot differently before we started the Western civilization experiment.
Absolutely.
There is a book that I read in the formative years called Conversations with God.
Oh, yeah.
Neil Donald Walsh. Very good series. And I remember from that book, God was musing, and he said it's cruel that we no longer follow what nature had just made easiest for us to recognize, in that our bodies are most ready to make healthy offspring when our minds are nowhere near ready to raise good people. But when our minds are ready to raise good people in our 50s and 40s, our bodies are not ready to make healthy offspring. When we lived in tribal bands that would cap out around 100 people, we saw that in action. When we started living in, focusing on specifically the nuclear family and getting more and more space for each home, but getting kind of further and further from our neighbors, is this strange interaction. The more connected we become, the less we recognize our connection.
Well, and I feel selfish too.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a part of me that's just like, you know, what am I doing right now? Mm-hmm. Nothing. But I am. You know, like there's a part of me that's sitting here saying, my God, I want to get the fuck out of here. I want to go do this. I want to go do that. I want to do all this other stuff. But then I kind of have to ground myself a little bit and be like, you're exactly where you need to be right now.
Right.
With these guys. And someday it's going to be just like I said about me when I was that age. I can leave my kids and say, don't burn the fucking house down. Mm-hmm. And I can go out and hey, I'm going to go to Minneapolis for the night.
Right.
And go do some stand-up.
Right.
Or something like that. And I'll be able to do that. It's just that period between birth and, not saying getting rid of the kids, because you never get rid of your fucking kids.
Right.
But at that point where, you know, because how many people do I know that it's like, oh yeah, my kids are grown and gone. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I'm sitting there going, it's coming.
I'm gonna parallel something with hip hop, and a lesson that I really got to recently pick up from my favorite podcast, Super Duty Tough Work, hosted by Blueprint. Shout outs Blueprint. I got a new single out with Blueprint, The Shoulders of Giants. Check that shit out. SoundCloud no, it's not on Bandcamp yet, but it's on iTunes and Spotify and all those ones. Now, well, I need to get used to the promotion thing. It still makes me feel weird, but no, it was Carnage the Executioner, who is a friend. He's performed in Aberdeen, and I was working at the venue when he did, so we got a chance to bond. He came over to a friend's house for a little after party thing. It not about getting drunk and being weird, just sitting down having a good conversation with good people, you know?
Yeah.
They talked about a lot in this most recent episode of the podcast. Well, second to most recent. I think now their new one's on. I'm going to watch it as soon as I get home. Shoot. I forgot how to connect these dots. It went somewhere. What were we talking about just before I did the plug through the Super Duty?
Well, I was talking about shit.
I bet you would have remembered if I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, probably. Shit. What the hell? What was the last fucking thing we were talking about? Fuck. Oh, artistry and all that stuff.
Okay, so here I thought of what the point that I wanted to make actually is. I don't remember his exact words, but one of the things that he was doing, and I want to parallel it with you in comedy and getting to Aberdeen now and again and working on the work that you're doing here. Like, you're doing good in that you're feeding everything back into the Tubes brand, you know?
Right.
And that's one of the things I'm trying to do with the stomach, and that's just one of the early steps in forming this identity that it's a brand and we're trying to sell ourselves that in that way, so that maybe this communication and honest thing and the work that we put into it could help, you know, put something in our bellies or help raise the kiddos, you know?
Right.
Everybody got something to feed, habit, their belly, kids, whatever, the gasoline in the car, whatever it is. So
Just fill my Northwestern Energy fucking account with money. That'd be nice.
The thing that we do in one of the early stages is hone our craft, you know? We bring it to that razor's edge. We get our live show out to perfect. That's one of the things Carnage was doing really well. And then he got told by some of the big ups cats in Minneapolis, like Rhymesayers cats, had told him, yo, your album ain't that good, but you kill it in your live show, right? And that's something I've always thought about in my own head. Like, I know I've been honing my live show. That's what I've been doing here. Now I'm trying to, like, get the merch and the product and everything lined up. But what I've done to tighten it and tighten it and tighten this drum is repeat the same stuff, say the same songs. And saying the same songs it doesn't feel as dangerous to a musician as it would feel to somebody telling jokes. You get bored telling the same jokes quicker than your audience because your audience is always shifting, you know?
Right.
But that's really the reason for comedians to tell the same jokes, you know? And then some people start going for the back of the room laughs, and I've heard of weird avant-garde comedy clubs, Outsider, or a brand of comedy where they get really condescending really fast. They're alt rooms. They call them alt rooms.
Okay.
And just I like comedy as an art form. I sit back and I'm glad it's it's like the only form of performance where I decided, no, I'm a spectator now. You know what I mean? And I remember wanting to be a comic when I was a kid, or wanting to be able to talk in front of people and make those kind of points. That's what I really wanted. To be able to get people looking at things in different and interesting ways. That's what I really keyed in on and liked about it. Probably why I went the music and poetry direction. Slam poetry got me. Saul Williams, the movie Slam, that shit got
94, pulled a lot of ass, itched the stomach, time machine. Sorry.
Hey, man. I've heard there are breakthroughs. We have sent a single particle back in time, and that means time travel is...
How do we know that we sent a particle back in time?
I don't know the math and shit, and I was told by a friend, so I don't know how accurate the hearsay is, but this friend is a professor. He ain't at the tenured level professor. He's still working.
I mean, unless they're sitting there like I'm sitting here, and then all of a sudden something just shows up, and they're like, "Oh, that's exactly what we were planning on happening."
Yes,
that's what happened.
As far as I can remember of his telling, yes.
That's fucked.
And that changes the concept of time travel from a theoretical problem to an engineering problem. Yeah. All we have to do now is scale it up.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck, dude.
Anyway, well, yeah. We went off on the time travel tangent because you interjected the and yes,
Sorry.
I would be pulling that so
Sorry.
much. But Joe Rogan made that joke better than I would. If I could go back to my high school and I might just be fucking every freaking.
I think I would have pulled the exact same ass in high school right now if I went back.
Oh man.
I still don't have any game.
No, my game has only just come into its own, and it has done so in the empowering myself as starting to conceptualize being a rapper as being one who communicates. Because rapping has been this tool for communicating and voicing the struggle. And it's something I say at the top of the track I did with Blueprint. Rap means to talk. Let's sit down and have a rap session. So let's come to an understanding of whatever's between us that might not be sitting right or whatever. That's what a rap session is, you know? And they definitely lost sight of that enough to... I started with all my poetry so abstract, nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. And I still like to throw that at people as long as I know what I'm talking about.
Still. It's pretty abstract.
The big difference between now and then is I know what my themes are. And the single I released on my birthday, the one you saw the video for, the writing, the whole conceptualization of that one, it was me departing from the work that I had done throughout 2018, and I needed to give a nod to the work that I stopped in the midst of when 2014 just, I lost myself.
2014 was a shit fucking year, and I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah, Allison died on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I got arrested on Father's Day in 2014.
Dates can fuck with some of us in weird, funny ways, man. When the calendar starts fucking with you, and just poking you and making you, that's when you start wondering, what the hell is this
totally non-violent crime? I'm just putting that out there. Totally non-violent or abusive or... Yeah. it was a totally nonviolent crime.
What?
But anyways, what?
Nah, you know, I wouldn't talk about it either.
I got busted with weed.
Oh, yeah. The most common thing that happened. The extortion racket.
I was at a friend's house. And you know this friend. She lives in that basement apartment.
I know who you mean.
With all those movies. We were sitting there, smoking a little bit, talking about Law and Order.
The irony.
Knock, knock, knock. And her dumb ass goes up and gets the door. I'm sorry, but it happened. And yeah, and it was like we weren't doing anything. Right. We weren't hurting anybody. We weren't being loud. Just some fucking neighbor didn't like it. You know, and so we were having more fun than them, you know, man, and it wasn't even that bad of fun. Not like we were sitting down there like, you know, like it was just sitting there talking like me and you are talking right now about like, you know, fucking how awesome Sam Waterston was on Law and Order along with fucking Lenny Briscoe, you know, like what the fuck, man.
Belzer,
like,
is that
what's that?
The character's name? I'm not.
Lenny Briscoe. Sam Waterston played McCoy.
McCoy, okay.
Yeah, McCoy.
Who am I thinking of? Belzer on SVU and
Richard Belzer. Munch.
Yeah,
Munch.
Yes.
But, yeah. Well, Ish, I think we're going to kind of wrap it up a little bit.
I understand.
We are sitting at over an hour and a half.
Hell yeah. It's been a lot of fun, man.
But I want you to come back. Like, you know, next time you have a fucking full tank of gas, man.
Word.
We're going to keep doing this because I could talk like this for hours.
Me too. You know? And I really appreciate the opportunity and like this interacting thing. It's exactly how we build our community. There is one thing a point that I want to make sure to say.
Absolutely.
I've been asked a few times here and there, why are you in Aberdeen? How come you don't leave?
Right.
The thought that I had when I was in my early teens and college age, I wanted to get out. Mm-hmm. But I came back and I'm glad the thought has revisited me, is that towns like this, Redfield, Aberdeen, these towns only grow so tiresome to people because all the good people just can't wait to leave. If you want to fix a place that you don't like, don't leave. Encourage people to do the things you like.
Right. Yep.
That's what I want to leave it on.
Absolutely, man. Like, I think that, like, the Scared of the Dark guys that are here, they're an amazing fucking band. And they want to move to Sioux Falls and start some stuff up there and everything. And it's awesome. And I hope the best for them and everything. Because, I mean, you're not going to break away staying in Redfield. It's not going to happen. You know?
Some seek stardom and they forget Harlem.
I've learned just from the people that I met through that crazy ass Hollywood experience of mine and everything, is that a lot of it's luck, and a lot of it is what you're personally willing to throw away and what you're personally willing to do in order to get there. Like, these people left their entire lives and families behind to, you know, did the...
See, now you're hitting the themes of my album. And I said I wanted to talk about it, but... The
storybook going to California to make it big kind of thing. And these people went out there not knowing what the fuck was going to happen, and then it happened for them. And now they're sitting there at the fucking Emmys. And they're sitting there at Comic-Con. And that's all that I've ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
Is... I like making people laugh, but I would rather make people laugh, but also make them think.
Yeah.
And I want to be the person that when you walk away from whatever project I have, you're thinking about it and you're like, wow, that's fucking interesting. You know? Mm-hmm. And that's my dream. And I would love to be at Comic-Con. I'd love to be able to be nominated for this, that, or the other thing. But inevitably, I wish that I was known as, you know, like George Carlin is a comedian, yes, but the guy was a linguist.
See, that's okay. You know? Where I wanted to, how I was going to come into that is the cheat code is the writing comes first. Mm-hmm. You hone that material, make those gems, make that come first. And a lot of people go chasing that dream and it doesn't go that Emmy direction, which makes me want to say, Morgan Bauer, if you're watching this, have your mother call me and I will answer the question you asked me when you cornered me in the back room of the Palm Garden.
Okay. I won't go any further into that. But whatever that means, I'm glad she had the opportunity to say
She knows what it means. She's the only one that would.
All right, cool. Yep, that's a sad thing.
It is.
And I hope
Heart goes out.
I hope that girl just doesn't want to be found. Like that's my hope is that she just.
I'm not going to say anything about it other than Sherry, I'm sorry, and the thing I already said.
Yeah,
That's
I hope that she's out there and she's healthy and she's safe and she's alive and she's happy.
Yes.
That's all I can hope for. If someday I'm on the coast and I'm living that fucking Emmy life, you know, I'm living that EGOT life or whatever, you know, I'm sitting there and all of a sudden here comes Morgan Bauer and I'm just like, hey, aren't you? And she's like, oh, fuck, you found me. And I'd be like, well, shit, man. Okay, you're good. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. You know, like, that's all.
That's all.
I don't need to do nothing else. You
That's
know?
right.
It's the stomach.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This has been fun.
Absolutely. And I'm going to plug my shit, then I'm going to let him plug his shit because you got it slinging. I would butcher the fuck out of it. Tony Tubes, the Dakota Podcasting Experience. You can find the Dakota Podcasting Experience on Twitter at Dakota Podcast. Yes. And me at Tony Tubeser. We are on the Anchor app, which is a podcasting platform that puts it out to iTunes and all sorts of different podcasting sites. And you can find us as well on YouTube and everything. The Dakota Podcasting Experience. Thank you guys very much for allowing me to have an audience, to have somebody like Ish the Stomach.
It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure.
Ish the Stomach, what's your stuff?
Yo, you can find me at Ish the Stomach. Just you Google that, you'll find all my socials. But SoundCloud.com/Ish the Stomach, ishthestomach.bandcamp.com, Facebook.com/ish.the.stomach, Twitter Ish the Stomach at Ish the Stomach. All of them Ish the Stomach. Until I really get the DJ stuff rolling. But there's a couple tracks on my SoundCloud by Crucible. Check them out.
Nice. Yeah, and check out his YouTube channel too because
it's growing.
Yeah, your stuff is awesome.
Right now this year I'm concentrating on that spoken word series. Every open mic, I'm doing all 12 of them. That's what I'm hitting for this year. That's the goal I'm holding my feet to the fire for. One new poem memorized and performed at every open mic this year.
Yeah, I really want to get there, man. But like the weather fucking held me up like 2 months in a row, and now it was just like fucking. I had birthdays and money and car issues, and so it's like fuck.
Life happens.
Maybe I'll get out there in June, or maybe I'll get out there at the end of May. I don't know. But thank you guys very much for watching and listening at home, people. And thanks Ish the Stomach for making that trek to the field to be on the Dakota Podcasting Experience. We'll see you guys next time when I will have Ish on again very soon. That's it.